Hello, my name is Kane. This is Castle Tutelage, your home defense network. I have been asked, what's your training regimen? And why don't I show more training videos? Well, I don't claim to be Joe Trainer. This is one of those things where I only go to classes 3 or 4 times a year. So I don't really think I'm really qualified to, I can express what to do. However, there are so many other videos on there on how to do what training scenario, weak-handed stovepipe. Other people can do that better than I can. I just don't really want to do that. But what I do notice is that people ask me how many times I train. Well, that's a different question than showing you how I train. But what I'll do is I'm going to give you some ideas on how I schedule training, because I am an engineer and I like to have regular training on certain aspects of it. Now, when I have specific carrying handguns, and what I will show you is my 2 most common ones. However, my 2 most common ones aren't designed to be shot 300,000 times. The first one is a CZ. Let me get this. The first one is a CZ 2075 Chamberlain 40 Smith & Wesson. This is my primary carrying handgun. Even CZ will tell you basically what you do with these is that you test it, make sure it works, and you go from there, okay? And you don't shoot thousands of rounds through it. Another primary carrying gun I have is a CZ P01, CZ75 P01. And it is extraordinarily similar to what I'm running. Now, this is designed to have 30,000 rounds through it, okay? This is what I will train with as far as this goes. Now, again, this is a B variant that has a safety, and then this will have a decocker. Now, what do? Well, I run them both the same. I run them in double action, right? So you'll be starting off there and firing. Same way with this. What I do is when I first come down, I decock it, okay, and it runs in double action. So there's going to be a very similar in that. What I run sometimes is the CZ83. Again, it's going to be having a safety on it. So what do? I run it in double action. Okay, so that is what the training is. Now these 2 guns can be shot much more often than the CZ 2075. So these are going to be my 2 more primary guns that I deal with. Now, what I also have is my Ruger LCR 357. This is double action only. It takes a little bit more training. However, this is relatively new polymer kind of scenario, and no one really knows how many rounds you can put 357 through. Or what I run is a P+ situation. 357 is just too much of a donkey kicking your hand, and follow-up shots for me is a little bit more difficult. It's just, again, what is the more important shot, the first or the second one? According to the statistics, it's the second one, okay? So out of these guns, how do I train with them? Well, dry firing, and this is my shotgun dry firing, is that this book right here has all the dry firing, and I do have one for handguns also. I do dry firing drills on my CZ about once a week. I do the dry firing drills for this one about 2 times a month. Okay. So how often do I go to the range? Well, until recently, when ammo is very selective, I've only been going to the range once a month for mainly this CZ-2075, where you're doing squeezing drills. Now, the range that out here in Minnesota, I have not found an outside range yet, and again, it's 19 degrees today, so outside ranges are kind of iffy. So what I do here is more of target, squeezing the trigger, kind of practicing my dry fire skills. Okay. Now, I do have other guns. Excuse me, I've been sick all this week. The Beretta 96G is my primary home defense gun. Okay. I am very familiar with this, and I only shoot it about 6 times a year, unless I go to a training school, and this is the primary gun that I will take to any training school. My other home defense gun is this Beretta Cougar 8045. It shoots extraordinarily similar to the 96G. It has a little bit different on it. It has a decocker and safety. However, again, I keep all my handguns baseline, where we're going to be running in double action. Okay, nice and simple. This is a gun that probably only has about 100 rounds through it. It is a very nice gun. I only shoot with this gun about once a year, but I do dry practice with it about 2 times a year. Okay, so those are my handguns and what I deal with. Okay, the next thing that I'll do is my shotgun. This is a Mossberg 590, and training with it in Minnesota is a little bit difficult because, again, I like to have outdoor ranges where I can do my malfunction drills, live fire malfunction drills, and after action drills outside, which you cannot do at a Minnesota squeeze and trigger gun range. So what I do is that, since this is one of my primary for home defense, I have stepped up the dry practice drills. Again, it's not a dry fire drill. I want to correct myself. It's a dry practice drill. Again, I'm going from what I've known in the past for it to be called to now. And the more correct term now is dry practice, where I try to dry practice with this every other week. Okay. And actually physically shoot it 4 times a year. Okay. That is something that, since this is something that is an auxiliary and artillery piece as far as my home defense, this is something that you need to really do and combine with the dry practice drill. Next, we have, well, one of the things that I don't have with me is my pistol chamber carbine. I like my pistol chamber carbine. It is getting that California bullet button off, where if you have a rifle that has a pistol grip on it and a detachable magazine, it needs to have a bullet button on it. And what that basically means is you need to have a tool to get the magazine out of out of the rifle to swap out magazines, and I'm getting that worked on right now. And that is more of a fun type of gun. It's really my last option as far as home defense goes, but it is a great little tool, and I typically will play with it about 3 times a year, and I don't dry fire practice with it just because I have all these other platforms that I need to be more familiar with than with that. This one right here, this one is a Sega AK-47 chambered in .223. This is a very good home defense or WROL kind of a scenario. And again, this is one of those things where I have not, even when I was in the Coast Guard, shooting the 223. I can't. It's been so long ago, and I haven't trained on it for so long. I think it was an M16. Geez, this was back in 1991. This is the last time I shot an M16, and this is my weakest platform. I will tell you guys, this is my weakest platform, and it's not necessarily my go-to, even though I'm a strong proponent of the 223 round. I really like the idea of it. This is something that I only shoot 2 times a year, but I dry practice with it about 3 times a year. Okay, so I am not Joe Trainer. I will never pretend to be Joe Trainer in manipulation of the gun and teaching you. My strengths are the aftermath and getting you guys to realize a lot of people spend a lot of money at going to the ranges and bullets and equipment and squeezing off the trigger, but they neglect what is the aftermath. So when you're dealing with what your home defense scenarios are, I would try to limit platforms. As you see here, I train more on the platforms that I feel are going to be more appropriate for me, just because of my training in the past. Now, a lot of you guys, you know, the United States has been at war basically since 1991, and a lot of you guys are going to be more comfortable with an AR platform because you were service. I was Coast Guard, and I wasn't. During the 2 years that I was in the Coast Guard, I only trained on the M16 once. Okay, I trained more on the 50 cal and the 20 millimeter more than I ever did the M16. But I got the high scores shooting the Beretta in my 18-man crew. So that is my claim to fame, and that's what I like. The Beretta platform is what I really do. So you need to figure out. You need to be dry practice drills. You need to be, if you concealed carry, you need to be firing these at least once a month. You need to be dry practicing your carry guns at least once a week. And this is one of those things where I'm not going to tell you how to dry practice your firearms, okay? But I implore you to go to any website, or most any website, and see how they dry practice drills and understand why malfunctions, negligent discharges happen, okay? And, you know, that is all really spelled out in any dry practice drills that you have, okay? So you need to figure out a schedule that is monetarily appropriate for you, and then go with the schedule. Again, these 2 guns right here, they're not designed to have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds in it. So when you do have that type of gun, you need to figure out how you're going to be manipulating those guns. Still fire them once in a while to make sure that they work, dry practice with them, and maybe have some kind of a other gun that can take the rounds out of it. Like this has a UN number on it, and you can go look at it for all the testing, and it's rated for 30,000 round strip. So this can easily cross over to this, or to the CZ83, okay? That's why this is not part of the 4 handgun rules, okay? I'm a strong proponent of the 4 handgun rules, and you always treat a firearm like it's loaded, but I have made sure. Okay? My name is Kate, and this is Casa Tutelage, your home defense network. I hope this helps.